The old clock on the wall showed 11:47 p.m. Maria Santos pushed her cleaning cart down the long hallway of Hartwell University. Her back hurt like it did every night after 8 hours of cleaning. She was 52 years old and her body felt every single year. The wheels of her cart squeaked as she walked. The sound echoed in the empty building. Most people had gone home hours ago. Only Maria and a few other night workers remained. This was her world now. The quiet halls, the empty rooms, the smell of cleaning products on her hands. She stopped in front of the big wooden doors. The concert hall. This was always her last stop of the night. Maria took a deep breath before pushing the doors open. Even after 15 years of working here, this room still took her breath away. The concert hall was beautiful. Red velvet seats filled the space. Crystal lights hung from the ceiling like frozen stars. And there, in the center of the stage, stood the piano. A Steinway grand piano, black and shining under the soft lights that were never fully turned off. Maria walked slowly down the center aisle. Her cleaning cart stayed by the door. She would get it later. Right now, she just wanted to look at the piano. She did this every night. It was her private moment, her secret time. The stage steps creaked under her feet. Maria walked across the wooden stage floor. Her shoes, old and worn, made soft sounds. She stopped next to the piano and stood very still. Her hand reached out. Her fingers touched the smooth, cold surface. She remembered when her hands were different. Young hands. Strong hands. Hands that could fly across piano keys like birds in the sky. That was a long time ago. A different life. A different Maria. Now her hands were rough and red from years of cleaning. Calluses covered her palms. Her fingers were stiff from scrubbing floors and washing windows. But sometimes, late at night, she would stand here and remember. Maria looked around the empty hall. Nobody was watching. She pulled out the piano bench and sat down. This was wrong. She knew it. Staff members were not supposed to touch the instruments. But she was careful. She never played. She just sat and remembered. Her fingers hovered over the white and black keys. So close, but she never pressed them. That would be too much. That would break something inside her that she worked very hard to keep locked away. A door slammed somewhere in the building. Maria jumped up from the bench. Her heart pounded in her chest. She pushed the bench back into place and hurried off the stage. She grabbed her cart and started cleaning the seats row by row. Just like she was supposed to do. The concert hall took almost an hour to clean. Maria worked slowly and carefully. She picked up programs left on seats. She swept the aisles. She wiped down the armrests. This was good work. Honest work. It paid her bills. It sent money to her daughter. That was what mattered. When she finished, it was past 1 in the morning. Maria was tired. Her feet hurt. She wanted to go home to her small apartment and sleep. But first, she walked back to the stage one more time. She always did this. One last look at the piano before she left. She stood at the edge of the stage looking up at the beautiful instrument. In her mind, she heard music. Rachmaninoff. The piece she used to play when she was young. When she was someone else. When people called her talented. When her mother cried with pride at her concerts, Maria closed her eyes. For just a moment, she let herself remember. The weight of the keys under her fingers. The way the music would flow through her body. The feeling of being alive, truly alive when she played. A sound made her eyes snap open, voices coming closer. Maria's stomach dropped. She should not be standing here. She should be gone by now. She quickly turned to leave, but she moved too fast. Her hip bumped against the piano bench. The bench scraped against the stage floor. The sound was loud in the quiet hall. Maria froze. What was that? A man's voice said. The main doors of the concert hall opened. Bright light from the hallway poured in. Maria could not see who was there. The light was too bright. She stood on the stage like a deer caught in headlights. Her cleaning cart was far away by the other door. She had no reason to be standing by the piano. Well, what do we have here? The voice was smooth and cold. A voice used to being listened to. A voice that expected obedience. 3 men walked into the concert hall. Maria's eyes adjusted to the light. She recognized them immediately. Dr. Richard Ashford, the university president, and 2 men in expensive suits. Trustees, probably. Important people who made important decisions. Dr. Ashford was a tall man with gray hair and a face that always looked slightly annoyed. He wore a dark suit that probably cost more than Maria made in 3 months. He walked like he owned the world. In this university, he basically did. "I'm sorry, Dr. Ashford," Maria said quickly. Her accent was thick. Even after 30 years in America, she still sounded like she was from the Philippines. "I was just finishing cleaning. I'll go now." "Wait." Dr. Ashford walked down the aisle toward the stage. His shoes clicked on the floor. Expensive shoes. Shiny shoes. The kind that never got dirty. "You're one of the janitors, aren't you?" "Yes, sir. Maria Santos. I clean this building every night. 15 years, if I remember correctly." Dr. Ashford climbed the stage steps. He walked toward her. Maria wanted to run, but her feet would not move. "My assistant mentioned you've been here quite a while." "Yes, sir." 15 years? Dr. Ashford looked at her, then at the piano, then back at her. A small smile appeared on his face. It was not a kind smile. "Were you touching the piano, Maria?" I bumped the bench by accident, sir." "I'm very sorry." He walked past her to the piano. He ran his hand along its surface like he was checking for dust. "This piano costs more than you make in 5 years, Maria. Do you know that?" "No, sir. I mean, yes, sir." "I understand it's very expensive. So you shouldn't be touching it, should you?" His voice was soft, but there was something mean in it. Something that enjoyed making her uncomfortable. "No, sir. I'm sorry." The two trustees had followed Dr. Ashford up to the stage. They stood watching. One of them was smiling. They were enjoying this. Entertainment at the poor janitor's expense. Dr. Ashford sat down at the piano bench. He pressed a few keys. The notes rang out in the empty hall. Even those few notes were beautiful. "I studied piano as a child, you know," my mother insisted. She said it was what cultured people did. He played a simple scale. I wasn't very good, but at least I knew how to appreciate fine instruments. He stood up and looked at Maria again. His eyes were cold. "I saw you standing here staring at this piano. Tell me, Maria, do you play?" Maria's throat was tight. Her hands were shaking. She wanted to lie, but the truth sat in her throat like a stone. I used to. A long time ago. In the Philippines. Before I came here, you used to play?" Dr. Ashford's eyebrows went up. He looked at the trustees. They were all smiling now. The janitor used to play piano. How charming. "It was many years ago, sir." "What did you play?" "Chopsticks? Mary Had a Little Lamb?" The trustees laughed at his joke. The sound was ugly, mocking. "I studied classical music, sir, at university." "In Manila?" "Oh, did you?" Dr. Ashford's voice dripped with false interest. "And why are you cleaning floors instead of playing concerts if you're so educated?" The question was cruel. It was designed to hurt, and it did. Maria felt the old pain rise up in her chest. The pain of choices she had to make. The pain of dreams she had to kill so her family could survive. "Life happened, sir. I had to work. I had to support my family." "Ah, yes, life." Dr. Ashford waved his hand like he was swatting away a fly. "Life happens to all of us, Maria, but most of us don't pretend to be something we're not." "I'm not pretending anything, sir. I'm just a janitor. I know that." "Good. It's important to know one's place." He walked around the piano, trailing his fingers on it. "You know what? I find this whole thing amusing. You, standing here looking at this piano like you could actually play it." Maria said nothing. Her face was hot. Shame and anger mixed together in her stomach. "I'll tell you what, Maria." Dr. Ashford turned to face her fully. The smile on his face was wide now, mean. "I'll make you a deal. A challenge, if you will." The trustees moved closer, interested. "If you can play this piano, I mean really play it, not just bang on the keys. If you can play it like a true musician, then I'll resign. I'll step down as president of this university." He spread his arms wide. "There, that's my promise. The janitor plays piano and I give up my position." The trustees burst out laughing. One of them slapped his knee. "Good one, Richard," the man said between laughs. "That's very funny." Dr. Ashford grinned. "I'm completely serious. I'll put it in writing if you want. But we both know that will never happen, don't we, Maria? Because you're a janitor. That's what you are. That's all you'll ever be." Maria felt something break inside her. Not her spirit. Something else. Something that had been holding back years of buried anger, years of swallowed pride, years of pretending that giving up her dreams was okay. She looked Dr. Ashford in the eyes. Really looked at him. She saw what he was. A man who had everything handed to him. A man who never had to choose between his dreams and his family's survival. A man who thought people like her were less than human. Is that a real offer, sir? Her voice was quiet but steady. The smile slipped from Dr. Ashford's face for just a second. Then it came back. Of course it is. But don't get any ideas, Maria. I've heard hundreds of pianists play on this stage, students who trained their whole lives. Some of them were barely adequate. You think you can just walk up here after decades of pushing a mop and play like a professional? That's not how the world works. I understand, sir. Good. Now I think we're done here. You should finish your work and go home. It's late. He walked toward the stage steps. The trustees followed him. They were still chuckling, shaking their heads. At the top of the steps, Dr. Ashford turned back. Oh, and Maria, don't touch the piano again. That's an order. Wouldn't want you to get confused about your station in life. They left. Their voices faded down the hallway. Their laughter echoed back to the empty concert hall. Maria stood alone on the stage. She was shaking. Not from fear. From something else. Something that felt like electricity running through her veins. She looked at her hands, these rough, worn janitor hands. Hands that had scrubbed thousands of toilets. Hands that had washed millions of floors. Hands that had given up everything beautiful to survive. But underneath the calluses, underneath the redness and the wear, they were still her hands. The same hands that once flew across piano keys. The same hands that won competitions. The same hands that made her mother cry with joy. Dr. Ashford's words rang in her ears. That's all you'll ever be. No, Maria thought. No, that's not all I am. She walked to her cleaning cart slowly. Her body was tired, but her mind was racing. She pushed the cart out of the concert hall and down the hallway. Her shift was over. Time to go home. But as she walked, something was different. For the first time in 20 years, Maria let herself remember completely. Not just little pieces. Not just quick flashes. She let herself remember all of it. She remembered being 7 years old, touching a piano for the first time at her school in Manila. The teacher saw something in her. Talent, she called it. A gift. She remembered practicing 6 hours a day as a teenager. Her fingers bleeding sometimes. Her back aching, but loving every minute of it. She remembered winning the national youth competition at 17. Standing on stage, flowers in her arms, the audience cheering. Her mother in the front row crying. She remembered the scholarship to the University of the Philippines. Full ride. Her teacher said she could be great. Really great. One of the best. She remembered the phone call. Her father was sick. Very sick. The medical bills were crushing her family. She had to choose. Her dreams or their survival. She chose them. Of course she chose them. She loved them. She took a job as a housekeeper at a hotel. The money was better than anything her father made. She sent it all home. She never played piano again. It hurt too much. Then she met Robert, an American tourist. He was kind at first. He promised her a better life in America. They married quickly. She got pregnant. They moved to California. Robert changed. Or maybe he was always like that and she just did not see it. He left when their daughter Isabella was 2 years old. Left Maria alone in a country where she barely spoke the language. Alone with a baby and no money. She took the first job she could find. Cleaning houses. Then cleaning offices. Then the university janitor job. Night shift. It paid better. She could send money to her parents in the Philippines and raise her daughter during the day. Isabella was 23 now. In college. Studying pre-med. Working hard. Making something of herself. That was what mattered. Maria's sacrifice was worth it if her daughter could have a better life. But Dr. Ashford's words would not leave her mind. That's all you'll ever be. Maria pushed open the door to the employee locker room. Her friend Rosa was there, changing out of her uniform. Rosa cleaned the library building. They had been friends for 10 years. Ay, Maria. You look like you saw a ghost. Rosa said in Tagalog. What happened? Maria told her everything. About Dr. Ashford, about the piano, about the cruel challenge. The mocking laughter. Rosa's face grew dark with anger. That man. That terrible man. Who does he think he is? He's the university president, Maria said tiredly. He's exactly who he thinks he is. No. Rosa grabbed Maria's shoulders. Listen to me. I know your secret, remember? You told me years ago. You can play, You really can play. That was 20 years ago, Rosa. 20 years of cleaning. My hands are not the same. I'm not the same. So what? You show him. You play that piano and you make him eat his words. I can't. Why not? Because I'm scared. The words came out as a whisper. I'm scared that I really am just a janitor now. That all those years of music school were a waste. That he's right about me. Rosa pulled Maria into a tight hug. He's not right. He's a fool. A rich fool who never had to fight for anything. You, Maria Santos, you are strong. You gave up your dreams so your family could live. So your daughter could go to college. That doesn't make you small. That makes you a hero. Maria felt tears on her face. She had not cried in years. She did not let herself cry, but now the tears came and would not stop. I don't feel like a hero, she said. I feel tired. Then rest, Rosa said softly. Go home, sleep, and tomorrow you decide. Do you let him win? Or do you remind him that janitors are people too? That we have worth? That we have talents and dreams and dignity? Maria pulled away and wiped her eyes. She changed out of her uniform slowly. Her mind was spinning. Could she really do it? Could she play again after all these years? She thought about Isabella, her beautiful daughter who worked so hard, who believed that hard work and education could overcome anything. What was Maria teaching her by staying silent, by accepting Dr. Ashford's insults? The bus ride home was long. Maria sat by the window watching the dark city pass by. It was past 2 in the morning. The streets were empty. The world was asleep. But Maria was wide awake. For the first time in 20 years, she felt something dangerous stirring in her chest. Hope, and anger, and determination. She got off the bus 3 blocks from her apartment building. The neighborhood was not fancy. Paint peeled from buildings. Streetlights flickered. But it was home. It was what she could afford. Maria climbed the stairs to her 3rd-floor apartment. Her feet were heavy. Her back ached. She unlocked her door and stepped inside. The apartment was small. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a tiny kitchen and living room combined. But it was clean. Maria kept everything clean. She turned on the light. Photos covered 1 wall. Most were of Isabella. Isabella as a baby. Isabella's first day of school. Isabella's high school graduation. Isabella's acceptance letter to college. But there was 1 other photo. Small and faded. Hidden in the corner. Maria walked over to it and picked it up. The photo showed a young woman on stage. She wore a simple black dress. Her hair was long and dark. Her hands rested on a piano. She was smiling. Really smiling. The kind of smile that comes from pure joy. That woman was Maria, 17 years old. The night she won the national youth competition. Maria stared at the photo for a long time. That girl looked so happy, so full of dreams, so sure that the world was good and fair and that talent mattered more than money. What happened to her? Where did she go? Maria knew the answer. That girl had to grow up. She had to face reality. She had to make hard choices. But maybe, Maria thought, maybe that girl was still in there somewhere, buried deep, waiting. Maria sat down on her old couch. It was after 3 in the morning. She should sleep. She had to be up in a few hours to run errands before her next shift. But instead, she sat in the dark apartment, holding the photo of her younger self, and let herself think about the impossible. What if she could play again? What if her hands remembered? What if she could stand on that stage and prove to Dr. Ashford, to the world, to herself, that she was more than just a janitor? What if she could show Isabella that it was never too late? That dreams don't die just because life gets hard? The thought swirled in her head as the night slowly turned to morning. And somewhere in those dark hours, Maria Santos made a decision that would change everything. Maria did not sleep that night. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking. When the sun started to rise, she was still awake. Her mind would not rest. At 7 in the morning, she got up and made coffee. Her hands shook as she poured the water. She was not shaking from fear anymore. She was shaking from something else, something that felt like energy, like fire in her blood. She sat at her small kitchen table and drank the coffee slowly. The photo of her younger self was there, propped up against the sugar bowl. That girl in the picture seemed to be looking at her, challenging her, asking her what she was going to do. Maria picked up her phone. She looked at the time. Too early to call Isabella. Her daughter would still be sleeping. College students always slept late when they could. Instead, Maria opened the internet on her phone. Her fingers, stiff and uncertain, typed slowly. She searched for videos of piano performances. Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2. The piece she used to play. The piece she once knew by heart. She found a video and pressed play. The music poured out of the tiny phone speaker. Even through the small, tinny sound, it was beautiful. Maria closed her eyes and listened. Her fingers moved on the table, pressing invisible keys, following the music from memory. 20 years. It had been 20 years since she played, but the music was still there, locked inside her head, locked inside her hands. She had tried so hard to forget it, but it never really left. When the video ended, Maria sat very still. Tears ran down her face, but she did not wipe them away. She let them fall. Could she really do this? Could she actually play again? Her hands did not look like pianist hands anymore. They were red and rough. The skin was thick from years of scrubbing and cleaning. Her knuckles were swollen. Sometimes they hurt, especially in the morning or when it rained. But underneath all that damage, they were still her hands. The same hands that once made beautiful music. Maria stood up. She made herself breakfast, but she could not eat much. Her stomach was too tight. She cleaned her apartment even though it was already clean. She needed to move. She needed to do something with the nervous energy burning inside her. At 9 o'clock, she called Rosa. "Maria, are you okay? You sound strange." "I'm going to do it," Maria said. Her voice was quiet but firm. "Do what?" "I'm going to play. I'm going to prove him wrong." There was silence on the other end. Then Rosa screamed so loud that Maria had to hold the phone away from her ear. "Yes. Yes, I knew you would!" "Oh, Maria, I'm so proud of you." "I don't know if I can really do it," Maria said. "It's been so long. My hands are not the same. I might fail. So what if you fail? At least you tried. At least you stood up and said, 'I am more than what you think I am.' That's what matters." "I'm scared, Rosa." "Being scared is okay. Do it anyway." They talked for an hour. Rosa had ideas. Lots of ideas. Where Maria could practice. How she could do it without anyone knowing. When the building would be empty. "The practice rooms in the music building," Rosa said. "They're always empty early in the morning. I clean that building on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know where the keys are." "Rosa, I can't ask you to steal keys. I'm not stealing. I'm borrowing." "Big difference," Rosa laughed. "Besides, what are they going to do? Fire us? We're janitors. They barely notice we exist." That was true. Maria had worked at the university for 15 years, and most professors did not even know her name. She was invisible to them. Just the woman who emptied their trash and cleaned their toilets. Maybe it was time to be visible. After she hung up with Rosa, Maria sat down and thought about what she needed to do. She needed a plan. She could not just walk up to Dr. Ashford and demand to play. That would not work. He would laugh at her again. She needed to practice first. She needed to make sure she could still play. Really play. Not just remember how it felt, but actually do it. But how? She did not have a piano. She could not afford to rent one. And she certainly could not practice at the university during the day. Too many people. Too many questions. Maria thought about this problem all day. She did her errands. She sent money to her mother in the Philippines like she did every month. She bought groceries. She tried to act normal. But her mind was always working on the problem. That evening, before her shift started, she went to the university early. 2 hours early. She walked through the campus like she always did, invisible in her janitor uniform. Nobody looked at her. Nobody stopped her. She went to the music building. It was mostly empty at this time. A few students practiced in the rooms, but not many. Maria walked down the hallway slowly. She looked at the practice room doors. Most had small windows. She could see inside. One room had a piano, just a regular upright piano. Not like the grand piano in the concert hall, but it was enough. The room was empty. Maria looked around. No one was watching. She tried the door, locked. She stood there for a long moment. This was the barrier. This locked door between her and the thing she wanted most. Between her old life and her new one. Maria looked at her watch. She had to start her shift soon. She could not be late. She turned and walked away. But as she walked, she made a decision. She would find a way into that room. Somehow. That night, when she was cleaning the music building, Maria paid attention to everything. Where the keys were kept, when the building was empty, which professors left late, Which ones came early? She learned that the building was completely empty between 5 and 7 in the morning. The early students did not arrive until 7:30. The professors came even later, 2 hours. She would have 2 hours every day to practice if she could get into a practice room. The next day, Maria could not stop thinking about it. She worked her shift like always, but her mind was far away, planning, figuring out how to make this work. Rosa found her during lunch break. They sat together in the employee break room eating sandwiches. "I've been thinking," Rosa said quietly, "about the practice rooms. I know where the master key is kept." "Rosa, no. You could get fired. We're going to be smart about it. Listen." Rosa leaned closer. "I'll make a copy of the key, just for you. You can get into any practice room. You practice early in the morning, before anyone arrives. Then you return the key to me. No one will ever know. If we get caught, we won't get caught. And even if we do, what's the worst that happens? They fire us. We find other jobs. There are always cleaning jobs." Rosa grabbed Maria's hand. "But if you don't try, you'll regret it forever." "I know you will." Maria looked at her friend. Rosa's eyes were fierce and determined. Rosa had always been braver than Maria, always willing to take risks. "Okay," Maria said finally. "Okay, let's do it." Rosa smiled big. "Good, I'll get the key copied tomorrow. You start practicing on Friday." The next 2 days felt like they lasted forever. Maria could barely focus on her work. Her mind was always on Friday morning, on the practice room, on the piano. She spent her free time watching videos of pianists. She listened to recordings. She moved her fingers on tables, on her lap, anywhere, trying to remember the feeling of playing. On Thursday evening, Rosa slipped Maria a small key during their shift. "There," she whispered. "Don't lose it. And don't tell anyone where you got it." Maria held the key in her hand. It was warm from being in Rosa's pocket. Such a small thing. But it felt heavy, important, like it could unlock more than just a door. That night, Maria barely slept again. She was too excited, too nervous. What if she could not play anymore? What if 20 years was too long? What if her hands did not remember? She got up at 4 in the morning on Friday. She made coffee and drank it too fast, burning her tongue. She dressed in her regular clothes, not her janitor uniform. She wanted to feel like herself. Her real self. At 5 o'clock, Maria left her apartment. The city was still mostly dark. Only a few cars on the road. Only a few people walking to early morning jobs. She took the bus to the university. Her hands were shaking. The key in her pocket felt like it was burning through the fabric. The campus was quiet and empty. A few streetlights still glowed. Birds were starting to wake up and sing. The air was cool and fresh. Maria walked to the music building. Her heart pounded so hard she thought everyone could hear it. But there was no one around to hear. She used the key. The door opened. She stepped inside and closed it quietly behind her. The hallway was dark except for the exit signs. Maria knew the way. She had cleaned this building 1,000 times. She walked to the practice room she had seen before. The one with the upright piano. She used the key again. The door opened. Maria stepped inside and turned on the light. There it was. The piano. Brown wood. White and black keys waiting. She closed the door behind her and locked it. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely turn the lock. She stood there just looking at the piano. This moment felt huge, like everything in her life had led to this. All the sacrifice, all the pain, all the years of cleaning floors and swallowing her pride. It all came down to this moment. Maria walked to the piano slowly. She sat down on the bench. It was the right height. She adjusted it a little bit, just like she used to do. She looked at the keys. 88 keys. Black and white. She knew them all. She used to know them better than she knew anything else in the world. Her hands were shaking. She put them on the keys. The keys were cool under her fingers, smooth, perfect. Maria took a deep breath. Then she pressed down. The notes rang out. Clear and bright. The sound filled the small room. It was beautiful, but her fingers were stiff. They did not move the way she wanted them to. The notes came out choppy, uncertain. She tried to play a simple scale. It was messy, wrong. Maria stopped. Her hands fell to her lap. The silence after the music was loud. This was stupid. 20 years was too long. Her hands were too damaged. She was too old. Dr. Ashford was right. She was just a janitor. That was all she would ever be. No, The word came from somewhere deep inside her, from the part of her that used to be that girl in the photograph, that girl who believed in herself, who believed that music mattered more than money or status. No, she would not give up. Not after 1 minute, not after 20 years of silence. Maria put her hands back on the keys. This time, she did not try to play anything complicated. She just played one note, then another, then another. Simple notes. Getting used to the feeling again. Her fingers were stiff. They did not want to curve the right way. The joints hurt. But she kept playing, slowly, patiently. She played scales. First the right hand, then the left. Then both hands together. They were sloppy at first. But as she played, something started to happen. Her hands started to remember. It was like they had their own memory, separate from her brain. The muscles remembered how to move. The fingers remembered how to curve. The wrists remembered how to stay relaxed, not perfectly, not like before. But the memory was there, buried under 20 years of other work. Buried but not dead. Maria played for an hour. Just scales, just simple exercises. Her hands cramped. Her fingers hurt. But she did not stop. At 6:30, she forced herself to stop. She had to leave before students started arriving. She could not be seen here. She stood up from the bench. Her back hurt from sitting. Her fingers were red and sore, but something inside her was different. Lighter, like she had put down a heavy weight she had been carrying for years. She left the practice room and locked it behind her. She walked out of the building. The sun was up now. The campus was starting to wake up. Students walked to early classes. Professors carried coffee cups. Maria walked past them all. Invisible like always. But she did not feel invisible. She felt alive. She went home and slept for a few hours. Then she got up and got ready for her night shift. Everything was normal. Everything was the same. But also everything was different. Maria went back the next morning. And the morning after that. Every day she woke up at 4 in the morning. She went to the practice room. She played. The first week was the hardest. Her hands hurt constantly. Her fingers were stiff and clumsy. She got frustrated. She wanted to quit, but she did not quit. She kept going. The second week, things started to improve. Her fingers moved a little easier. The pain was less. She started working on real pieces. Not the Rachmaninoff yet. That was too hard. But simpler pieces. Pieces she used to play when she was a student. It was like learning to walk again. No, it was like learning to fly again after 20 years of only walking. One morning, during her third week of practice, something wonderful happened. Maria was playing a Chopin prelude, a piece she had loved when she was young. She was concentrating hard, trying to get the notes right. And then, for just a few measures, her hands took over. They played without her thinking about it. The music flowed out naturally, beautifully, the way it used to. It only lasted a few seconds. Then her brain caught up and she got self-conscious and the magic stopped. But those few seconds were enough. She could do this. Really do this. Maria put her head down on the piano keys. She started to cry. But they were not sad tears. They were relief tears. Joy tears. Hope tears. She was a pianist again. Not just a janitor who used to play. A pianist. During the fourth week, a young man saw her. It was a Tuesday morning. Maria was so focused on playing that she did not hear the door open. "Excuse me," a voice said. Maria jumped up from the bench. Her heart pounded. She had been caught. She was going to get fired. A young man stood in the doorway. He was maybe 20 years old. Messy hair. Tired eyes. A backpack over his shoulder. "A music student, I'm so sorry," Maria said quickly. "I know I shouldn't be here. I'll leave right now." "Wait. No." The young man stepped into the room. "That was you playing? Just now?" Maria nodded, not trusting her voice. That was beautiful. Really beautiful. "I've never heard that piece played with so much feeling." Maria stared at him. "Really?" "Yes, I'm James Chen. I'm a piano major here. That's my practice room, actually." "Or it's supposed to be." "I have it reserved for 6:30. He looked at his watch. "But I came early today. Couldn't sleep. I'm sorry, I'll go. I shouldn't be using the room." "You're not a student here, are you?" James looked at her carefully. "You're one of the cleaning staff. I've seen you around." Maria wanted to run, but she just stood there frozen. "How long have you been practicing?" James asked. "About 3 weeks. 3 weeks? And you can already play like that? James looked amazed. You must have trained seriously before. I did. Many years ago, in the Philippines, for that was a long time ago. James walked over to the piano. He sat down on the bench and played a few notes. Then he looked up at Maria. What happened? Why did you stop? The question was simple, but the answer was so complicated. How could she explain 20 years of life to this young man who probably never had to choose between his dreams and survival? Life happened, Maria said finally. My father got sick. Medical bills. Then I got married. Had a daughter. Got divorced. Needed to work. Needed to survive. She shrugged. Dreams don't pay bills. James was quiet for a moment. Then he said, But you're playing again now, why? Maria thought about Dr. Ashford, about his cruel words and mocking laughter, about the way he made her feel small and worthless. Someone told me I couldn't, she said. Someone told me that I was just a janitor. That was all I would ever be. And I decided to prove him wrong. James smiled. It was a real smile. Warm and genuine. Good for you. You know what? I'll make you a deal. You can use my practice room slot every morning. 6 to 7:30. I'll come at 7:30 instead of 6:30. That gives you 90 minutes every day. No, I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Besides, I want to hear you play more. Maybe I can help you. I'm not a great pianist yet, but I'm decent. I could give you some pointers. Help you get your technique back faster. Maria felt tears in her eyes again. Why would you help me? James stood up. Because music shouldn't belong only to rich people who can afford expensive schools. Because talent is talent, no matter who has it. And because something tells me you have a story worth hearing. He held out his hand. Deal? Maria shook his hand. His grip was firm and warm. Deal. From that day on, James became Maria's secret teacher. He came to the practice room at 7:30 every morning. He listened to her play. He gave her advice. He brought her sheet music. He also brought her ointment for her hands when they got too sore. He showed her stretches to do before playing to keep her fingers flexible. He treated her like a real musician, like an equal. Maria practiced harder than ever. James helped her work on the Rachmaninoff, the piece she wanted to play, the piece that would prove to Dr. Ashford that she was more than just a janitor. It was difficult. So difficult. The piece was long and complex. It required strength and endurance. Things her hands did not have anymore. But every day she got a little better. Every day she could play a little longer without her hands cramping. Every day the music sounded more like it used to. One morning, James brought someone else to the practice room, an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes. Maria, this is Dr. Eleanor Chen. She's a retired piano professor. She used to teach here at the university. She's also my grandmother. Dr. Chen smiled and shook Maria's hand. James has told me about you. I wanted to hear you play myself. Maria was nervous. A real professor. A real professional. What if she was not good enough? Play the Rachmaninoff, James encouraged. Just like you did yesterday. Maria sat at the piano. She took a deep breath. Then she began to play. She played the first movement. She made mistakes. Her fingers cramped in the middle and she had to stop for a moment. But she kept going. When she finished, she looked at Dr. Chen. The older woman had tears running down her face. Oh, my dear, Dr. Chen said. That was extraordinary. Truly extraordinary. But I made so many mistakes. Mistakes can be fixed. What you have is something that cannot be taught. You have soul. Rosa had a plan. Maria did not know what it was yet, but she could see the determination in her friend's eyes. That made her both excited and nervous. Trust me, Rosa said. This is going to work. 2 days later, Rosa showed Maria a letter. It was typed on the computer and printed on nice paper. The letter was formal and polite. It was addressed to Dr. Richard Ashford, president of Hartwell University. Maria read the letter slowly. Her English was good, but formal English was sometimes hard for her. Rosa had written it carefully, making sure every word was correct. The letter reminded Dr. Ashford of his words on the night of September 15th. His challenge. His promise. If the janitor could play piano, he would resign. The letter quoted his exact words. Then it politely requested that Maria Santos be allowed to perform during the upcoming faculty appreciation concert in 4 weeks. The letter was signed by Maria. Below her signature were 15 more signatures. Other janitors, cafeteria workers, groundskeepers, security guards, people who cleaned and served and maintained the university, people who were usually invisible. "Rosa, where did you get all these signatures?" Maria asked. "I told people what happened, how Dr. Ashford treated you, how he mocked you, how he thought we were all beneath him." Rosa's voice was fierce. Everyone wanted to sign. Some people wanted to add their own comments, but I told them to keep it professional. This is about you, but it's also about all of us. About respect. About dignity. Maria looked at all the names. Jose Martinez, groundskeeper. Kim Nguyen, cafeteria worker. Samuel Thompson, security guard. Name after name. People she knew. People she worked with. People who understood what it felt like to be treated as less than human. "What if I fail?" Maria whispered. "What if I can't play well enough? I'll embarrass everyone who signed this." "You won't fail," Rosa said firmly. "I've heard you practice. James told me how good you are. Dr. Chen says you're ready. You're going to be amazing. But what if Dr. Ashford says no? What if he refuses?" Rosa smiled. "That's the beauty of this plan. We're going to make sure he can't refuse." The next day, Rosa did something brave and possibly stupid. She sent the letter to Dr. Ashford. But she also sent copies to other people. The student newspaper, the local news. Several professors who she knew did not like Dr. Ashford very much. She even posted about it on social media. Within hours, the story started to spread. Students talked about it in the cafeteria. Professors discussed it in their offices. Someone created a social media account called Team Maria and started posting about it. The story was simple and it was powerful. A janitor who used to be a musician. An arrogant president who mocked her. A challenge made. A promise given. Would he keep his word? Maria found out about all this when she arrived for her shift that evening. People kept stopping her in the hallways. Students she had never talked to before. Professors who never noticed her. They all wanted to know if it was true. Was she really going to play piano? "I think so," Maria said, overwhelmed by all the attention. "If Dr. Ashford allows it." "He has to allow it," a young female student said. "He made a promise. Everyone heard him. If he backs out now, he'll look like a coward." That night, Maria could barely concentrate on her work. Her phone kept buzzing with messages. Rosa, James, Dr. Chen, even her daughter Isabella, who had seen the story online. "Mom," Isabella had texted in all capital letters. "Why didn't you tell me you used to play piano?" Maria had not called her back yet. She did not know what to say. How to explain 20 years of silence about something that used to be so important to her. 3 days after Rosa sent the letters, Maria was called to the university administration office. Her stomach dropped when she got the message. This was it. She was going to get fired. They were going to punish her for causing trouble. She took the bus to campus during the day, her day off. She wore her best dress, the one she saved for important occasions. If she was going to lose her job, she would lose it with dignity. The administration building was impressive. All marble and wood and expensive furniture. Maria had cleaned this building many times, but always at night. She had never been here during business hours. Never walked through the front door like she had a right to be there. The receptionist looked at her with curiosity. "Maria Santos?" "Yes, I was told to come. Dr. Ashford is expecting you. 3rd floor. His secretary will take you to his office." Maria took the elevator up. Her hands were shaking. The elevator was full of important-looking people in expensive suits. They did not look at her. She was still invisible to them. On the 3rd floor, a woman in a gray suit greeted her. "Mrs. Santos? This way, please." Dr. Ashford's office was huge. Big windows overlooked the campus. Bookshelves filled with leather-bound books. A massive wooden desk. Everything screamed money and power. Dr. Ashford sat behind the desk. He did not stand up when Maria entered. He did not smile. His face was cold and hard. "Sit down, Ms. Santos." He pointed to a chair across from his desk. Maria sat. She kept her back straight. She would not let him see her fear. "I received your letter," Dr. Ashford said. His voice was icy. "Or should I say the letter sent in your name. I assume this was not your idea." "It was my friend Rosa's idea," Maria said honestly. "But I signed it. I agree with it. Do you understand what you're doing? You're making a mockery of this university. You're turning a private conversation into a public spectacle." "You made it a spectacle when you mocked me in front of your trustees," Maria said. Her voice was quiet but steady. You made it public when you laughed at me and told me I was nothing but a janitor. Dr. Ashford's jaw tightened. I was simply being realistic. You are a janitor. That is your job. Your position here. That is my job. But it is not who I am. Maria met his eyes. You promised something that night. In front of witnesses. You said if I could play piano, you would resign. Are you a man who keeps his promises? That was not a serious promise. It was a joke. It did not feel like a joke to me. It felt like cruelty. The room was silent for a long moment. Dr. Ashford stared at Maria. She stared back. She would not look away first. This is going to make me look foolish, he said finally. That is not my problem, Maria said. You made your choice that night. I am just asking you to honor it. Dr. Ashford stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the campus for a long time. Maria waited. Her heart pounded, but she kept her face calm. Fine, he said finally, not turning around. You want to play in the faculty appreciation concert? You can play. One piece. 5 minutes. That's all you get. The Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2 is longer than 5 minutes. Then play something shorter. He turned to face her. 5 minutes, Miss Santos, that's my offer. Take it or leave it, Maria thought quickly. She could not play the full concerto in 5 minutes, but she could play one movement. The second movement. The most beautiful and emotional part. The second movement of the Rachmaninoff, she said. It's about 8 minutes. Can you give me 8 minutes? Dr. Ashford's lips twitched. Almost a smile, but not quite. You're negotiating with me? I'm asking for what I need to prove my point. He studied her for a long moment. 8 minutes. Not a second more. And Mrs. Santos, when you fail, and you will fail, I want a written apology. From you and everyone who signed that ridiculous letter. Agreed? And when I succeed? Maria asked. Will you honor your promise to resign? If you play at a professional level. If you prove that you are truly a pianist and not just a janitor with delusions, then yes. I will step down. But that won't happen. We both know it. Maria stood up. She held out her hand. Then we have an agreement. Dr. Ashford looked at her hand like it might be dirty. But he shook it. His grip was cold and brief. The concert is in 3 weeks, he said. Don't be late. Maria left his office. She walked down the hallway into the elevator, out of the building. She kept walking until she was far away from the administration building. Then she stopped and leaned against a tree. Her whole body was shaking, but she was smiling. She had done it. She had stood up to Dr. Ashford. She had made him agree to let her play. Now she just had to make sure she did not fail. Maria called Rosa immediately. Then James, then Dr. Chen. They all cheered and congratulated her. But Dr. Chen's voice turned serious. 3 weeks is not a lot of time, she said. We need to work harder. Practice more. Are you ready for that? Yes, Maria said. I'm ready. The next 3 weeks were the hardest of Maria's life. She practiced every morning from 5 to 8. Then she went home and slept for a few hours. Then she did her errands and chores. Then she worked her night shift from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. Then she went home and slept a few more hours. Then she got up and practiced again. She was exhausted all the time. Her body hurt. Her fingers hurt. But she did not stop. James worked with her on technique. Dr. Chen worked with her on interpretation and emotion. Together they polished the second movement until it shined. But there were problems. Maria's hands were stronger than they were 2 months ago, but they still cramped sometimes. The years of cleaning had damaged them. There was a particularly difficult passage in the middle of the movement where her left hand had to stretch across many keys. Sometimes she could do it. Sometimes she could not. We'll keep working on it, Dr. Chen said patiently. Your hands need to build more strength. More flexibility. Why didn't you ever tell me? Isabella asked. Tears ran down her face. All these years I never knew. Because it hurt too much to talk about, Maria said honestly. Because I was ashamed that I gave up. Because I thought you would think less of me. Think less of you? Mom, you gave up your dreams so I could have mine. How could I ever think less of you? Isabella grabbed her mother's hands. You're the bravest person I know. They cried together. All the years of unspoken pain and sacrifice flowing out in tears. I want to help you, Isabella said. Let me help you practice. I don't know anything about piano, but I can support you. I can be there for you. So Isabella stayed for a week. She went with Maria to the early morning practice sessions. She sat and listened. She brought her mother water when she needed it. She massaged Maria's hands when they cramped. She also met James and Dr. Chen. The four of them became a team, all working together to help Maria succeed. 1 week before the concert, the university started putting up posters. The Faculty Appreciation Concert. Guest performer Maria Santos. A special addition to the program. Students started talking about it more. The local news did a story. A reporter came to interview Maria. She was nervous on camera, but she told her story. About being a child prodigy in the Philippines. About giving up music to survive. About Dr. Ashford's cruel challenge. The story went viral. Not just locally, nationally, people all over the country started following the story. The hashtag Team Maria started trending on social media. Some people supported Maria. They said she was brave and inspiring. They said Dr. Ashford was a bully who needed to be taken down. Other people thought she was being presumptuous. Who did she think she was? Just because she studied music 30 years ago did not make her a professional pianist. She was going to embarrass herself and waste everyone's time. The criticism hurt, but Maria tried not to read the comments. Dr. Chen told her to stay focused. The only opinion that matters is yours, she said. You're not playing for them. You're playing for yourself. 3 days before the concert, Maria had a breakdown. She was practicing the difficult passage in the middle of the movement. Her left hand cramped badly. The pain was sharp and sudden. She pulled her hand back and clutched it to her chest. I can't do this, she said. Tears streamed down her face. My hands are too damaged. It's been too long. I'm going to fail. I'm going to embarrass everyone who believed in me. Dr. Chen sat beside her on the piano bench. You're scared? That's normal. But Maria, I've been teaching piano for 40 years. I've taught hundreds of students. Some of them became professional pianists. Some of them played at Carnegie Hall. And I'm telling you right now, you have more talent and more heart than most of them ever did. But my hands, your hands are fine. Are they perfect? No, will they cramp sometimes? Yes, but you can still play beautifully. You've been doing it for weeks. Don't let fear steal this from you. James knelt down in front of Maria. Listen to me. I've seen you play. I've watched you grow. You're ready. You're more than ready. Dr. Ashford is going to be so shocked he won't know what hit him. Isabella hugged her mother. You taught me to never give up. You taught me to fight for my dreams even when it's hard. Now it's your turn to follow your own advice. Maria wiped her tears. She looked at these 3 people who believed in her, who had given her their time and energy and faith. Okay, she said. Okay, I can do this. The last 2 days before the concert, Maria rested. Dr. Chen insisted. No practicing, just rest. Let her hands recover. Let her mind clear. Maria spent the time with Isabella. They cooked together. They watched movies. They talked about everything and nothing. It was peaceful. For the first time in months, Maria felt calm. The day of the concert arrived. Maria woke up early but not to practice. She lay in bed and thought about what was coming. In 12 hours, she would walk onto that stage. She would sit at that piano. She would play. She thought about Dr. Ashford, about his cold eyes and cruel words, about the way he made her feel small and worthless. She thought about her father in the Philippines, long dead now. He never got to see her play professionally, but he always believed in her, always told her she was special. She thought about all the years of cleaning, all the floors she scrubbed, all the toilets she cleaned, all the time she felt invisible, less than human. She thought about Isabella, her beautiful, brilliant daughter, about the life she was able to give her because of all those years of hard work. And she thought about the girl in the photo, that 17-year-old girl in the black dress smiling at the piano, full of dreams. That girl never really went away. She was just waiting. Waiting for this moment, Maria got out of bed. She made coffee. She ate breakfast even though her stomach was nervous. She took a long shower. She washed her hair carefully and blow-dried it. She put on light makeup. Just a little to look nice. Isabella helped her pick out what to wear. They chose a simple black dress. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. Just a clean, elegant black dress that made Maria look professional. You look beautiful, Mom, Isabella said. At 5 o'clock, they left for the university. The concert started at 7. Performers were supposed to arrive early. Rosa met them at the concert hall entrance. She hugged Maria tight. "You've got this," Rosa whispered. "We're all so proud of you." Inside, the concert hall was buzzing with activity. Students were setting up chairs. Sound technicians were checking equipment. Other performers were warming up backstage. Maria checked in with the stage manager. A young man with a clipboard looked at her strangely. "You're Maria Santos, the janitor who's playing piano?" "Yes," he looked skeptical. "You're scheduled to go on right before the finale. That's the second to last spot, usually reserved for the best performers. Are you sure you can—" "She can handle it," Dr. Chen's voice cut in. She had arrived with James. "Don't worry about Ms. Santos, she's a professional." The stage manager shrugged and made a note on his clipboard. Maria went to the dressing room area. Her hands were shaking. She sat down and closed her eyes. She practiced breathing. In and out, slow and steady. More people started arriving. Maria could hear voices in the hallway. Laughter, excitement, this was a big event. Faculty members and their families. Important donors. Community members. The hall would be packed. At 6:30, the stage manager knocked on her door. "Ms. Santos? I need you to go on stage and test the piano. Make sure everything is how you want it." Maria followed him out. The concert hall was filling up. People were taking their seats. She saw Rosa sitting with other janitors and staff members. They all waved when they saw her. Isabella sat with James and Dr. Chen a few rows back. And there in the front row sat Dr. Ashford. He wore an expensive suit. His face was stern and unsmiling. Next to him were the same two trustees from that night months ago, the ones who had laughed at her. Maria walked to the piano. It was the same Steinway grand piano she had looked at so many times, the one she used to dream about playing. She sat down on the bench. She adjusted the height. She placed her hands on the keys. She played a few notes. The sound was perfect, rich and clear and beautiful. She played a short passage from the Rachmaninoff, just to test the piano, just to get a feel for it. The sound filled the hall. Even those few notes were beautiful. People stopped talking. They turned to look at the stage. When Maria finished, there was a moment of silence. Then someone started clapping. Then more people joined in. Applause filled the hall. Maria looked up, surprised. They were clapping for her. For just those few notes. She stood and bowed slightly, then quickly left the stage. Dr. Ashford's face was tight. He was not clapping. Backstage, Maria's heart raced. That had felt good. Really good. The piano was perfect. The acoustics were amazing. If she could just stay calm. If she could just play like she had been practicing, she could do this. The concert began at 7 o'clock sharp. Maria watched from backstage as different performers went on. A string quartet, a soprano soloist, a faculty member playing violin. They were all very good, professional, polished. Maria's nervousness grew. These were trained professionals, people who performed all the time. What was she thinking? Believing she could compete with them? No, stop thinking like that. She was trained too. She was talented too. She had worked hard for this moment. She deserved to be here. At 8:15, the stage manager came to get her. "You're up next, Ms. Santos. Ready?" Maria stood up. Her legs felt weak, but she nodded. "Ready?" She walked to the stage entrance and waited. The current performer was finishing. A pianist playing Mozart. She played beautifully. The audience loved her. The pianist finished and bowed. The audience clapped enthusiastically. She left the stage from the other side. The announcer's voice came over the speakers. "And now for a very special performance, please welcome Maria Santos." This was it. The moment everything had been building toward. Maria took a deep breath. Then she walked onto the stage. The stage lights were bright. Brighter than Maria expected. She could not see the audience clearly, just shapes and shadows beyond the lights, but she could feel them. Hundreds of people watching, waiting, judging. She wore her simple black dress, the same one she used to wear to performances in Manila 30 years ago. It still fit, though it was tighter now. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun, no jewelry except her watch. She wanted to look professional, like a real pianist, but she was also wearing her janitor's name tag. She had pinned it to her dress on purpose. She would not hide who she was. She was both, a janitor and a pianist. Both were true. Maria walked across the stage. Her shoes clicked on the wooden floor. The sound echoed in the large hall. She could hear people whispering. Some were excited. Some were skeptical. She tried to block it all out. She reached the piano and stopped. For a moment, she just stood there looking at it, this beautiful instrument. This piece of her past that she thought was gone forever. She turned to face the audience and bowed. There was polite applause. Not enthusiastic, not rude, just polite. They were curious but doubtful. She could feel it. Maria sat down on the piano bench. She adjusted the height even though she had already set it perfectly during the sound check. She was stalling. Her hands were shaking. She placed her fingers on the keys. They felt cool and smooth under her fingertips. Home. This felt like home. From the front row, she could see Dr. Ashford. His arms were crossed. His face showed nothing, but his body language said everything. He did not believe she could do this. He was waiting for her to fail. Next to him, the two trustees whispered to each other. One of them smirked. They remembered that night. They remembered laughing at her. They expected to laugh again tonight. A few rows back, Maria could see Rosa. Her friend had tears in her eyes already. She gave Maria a thumbs up. Next to her sat the other janitors and staff members. Samuel, the security guard. Kim from the cafeteria. Jose, the groundskeeper. All the people who signed the letter. All the people who believed in her. Isabella sat with James and Dr. Chen. Her daughter's face was tight with worry, but she smiled when Maria looked at her. A brave smile. A proud smile. Maria took a deep breath. She closed her eyes for just a moment. She thought about her father, about her mother, about all the years she spent silent, all the years she pretended to be less than she was. Not anymore. She opened her eyes. She placed her hands in position, and she began to play. The first notes of Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 second movement filled the concert hall. Soft and gentle, like a whisper. Like a prayer. Maria's hands moved across the keys. At first she was nervous. Her fingers were stiff. She could feel the eyes of hundreds of people on her. She could feel Dr. Ashford's doubt. She could feel her own fear. But then something happened. The same thing that happened during her practice sessions. Her hands took over. They remembered. Muscle memory from 30 years ago came flooding back. The music began to flow. Not perfectly. She was not perfect. Her hands were not as strong as they used to be. Her technique was not as clean as it should be. But something else was there. Something more important than perfect technique. Feeling. Soul. Truth. Maria played from her heart. Every note carried 30 years of pain. 30 years of sacrifice. 30 years of dreams buried but not dead. She played for her father who got sick. She played for her mother who cried when she had to give up music. She played for herself. The girl she used to be and the woman she had become. The melody was beautiful and sad. It spoke of longing, of loss, of hope that refuses to die even in the darkest times. It was the perfect piece for this moment, for her story. The audience grew very quiet. No whispers now. No coughs or shuffling. Just silence and music. Maria moved into the middle section of the movement. This was the hardest part. The part where her left hand had to stretch across many keys. The part that made her hand cramp during practice. She felt the tension building in her hand. The familiar tightness. No, not now. Please, not now. She pushed through it. She focused on the music, not the pain. Her left hand stretched. The notes came out clear and strong. She did it. She made it through the difficult passage. Tears started running down her face. She did not stop to wipe them. She just kept playing. Crying and playing. All the emotions she had locked away for decades pouring out through her fingers and into the music. In the audience, people were crying too. Rosa sobbed openly. Isabella had her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. Even some of the faculty members looked moved. Music has power. When it is played with true feeling, it can break through any barrier. It can touch any heart. Dr. Chen sat with her eyes closed. A small smile on her face. She knew, she understood. This was what real music sounded like. Not technically perfect, but emotionally perfect. James watched with pride. He had helped her get here. He had believed in her when she was just a janitor practicing in secret. Now look at her, playing like she was born to do this, because she was, but not everyone was moved. Dr. Ashford sat rigid in his seat. His face was hard to read. Was he impressed? Angry? Scared? He had made a promise. If she played well, he would resign. Was he already regretting that promise? Maria moved into the final section of the movement. The music built toward the climax, louder, more intense, more passionate. Her hands flew across the keys. All the anger she felt at Dr. Ashford, all the frustration of being treated as invisible for 15 years, all the power of a woman who refused to be broken. It all came out in the music. The final notes rang out, clear and strong and beautiful. Then silence. For a long moment, no one moved. No one breathed. The last notes hung in the air like they did not want to leave. Then the spell broke. Someone started clapping. Then someone else. Then the whole audience was on their feet. Standing ovation. People cheering. Some crying. Some shouting, "Brava!" Maria sat at the piano, stunned. She looked out at the audience. Everyone was standing. Everyone except Dr. Ashford. He sat frozen in his seat. His face was pale. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair. Maria stood up and bowed. The applause got louder. She bowed again. People were not stopping. The applause went on and on. James ran up on stage with flowers. Yellow roses. He handed them to Maria and hugged her. "You did it! You were amazing!" Dr. Chen came up next. She hugged Maria tight and whispered in her ear, "I am so proud of you, so incredibly proud." Then Isabella ran up. She threw her arms around her mother and sobbed. "Mom, that was beautiful. I didn't know music could feel like that." Rosa and the other staff members wanted to come up too, but the stage manager stopped them. There were still more performers after Maria. The concert had to continue, but the audience did not want to stop clapping. They clapped for 5 full minutes. Some people were chanting, "Maria, Maria." It was overwhelming. Finally, the applause died down. Maria left the stage with her flowers. She was shaking. Her hands hurt. Her face was wet with tears. But she felt incredible, alive, free. Backstage, performers and staff members congratulated her. People she did not know hugged her, told her she was inspiring, told her she made them cry, told her they would never forget this performance. But Maria's eyes kept going to the door, waiting. Where was Dr. Ashford? What would he say? The concert continued. More performers went on. But nobody was really paying attention anymore. Everyone was still thinking about Maria's performance, about what they had just witnessed. When the concert ended, people did not leave right away. They stood around talking, looking for Maria, wanting to meet her. The media was there too. Cameras and reporters. They all wanted to talk to the janitor who played like a professional. Maria stood in the lobby, surrounded by people. She answered questions. She smiled for photos. She accepted congratulations. But part of her mind was somewhere else, waiting for Dr. Ashford. He finally appeared an hour after the concert ended. Most people had left by then. Just Maria, Isabella, Rosa, James, Dr. Chen, and a few reporters remained. And the 2 trustees who were with him. Dr. Ashford walked toward Maria. His face was difficult to read. Not angry. Not happy. Something else. Something between the two. Everyone got quiet. The reporters sensed drama and turned their cameras on. Dr. Ashford stopped a few feet away from Maria. They looked at each other. So much history in that look. So much tension. "Miss Santos," he said finally. His voice was quiet. That was quite a performance." "Thank you, Dr. Ashford. I'll admit I did not expect—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I did not expect you to be able to play at that level. I was wrong about you." The reporters moved closer. Cameras clicked. This was the moment everyone was waiting for. Would he keep his promise? One of the trustees stepped forward. "Richard, can we talk privately about this?" "No." Dr. Ashford held up his hand. "I made a promise. Everyone heard it. It's been documented. I said if Ms. Santos could play piano, I would resign. And she clearly can play. Very well, in fact. But Richard, that was said in jest," the other trustee started. "It may have started as a joke. A cruel joke, I now realize. But Ms. Santos took it seriously. She worked hard. She proved herself. And I am a man of my word." He looked at Maria. "I will submit my resignation to the board on Monday morning." Gasps and murmurs filled the lobby. Reporters shouted questions. Dr. Ashford ignored them. He held out his hand to Maria. "I underestimated you, Ms. Santos. I treated you poorly. I was arrogant and unkind. I apologize. You have shown me that I have a lot to learn about respect, about dignity. About seeing people for who they really are, not just what they do for a living. Maria looked at his outstretched hand. Part of her wanted to refuse it. To make him feel the humiliation she felt that night months ago. To watch him suffer like she had suffered, but that would make her like him. And she was not like him. She was better. She took his hand and shook it. I accept your apology, Dr. Ashford, and I have something to say. Everyone leaned in, listening. I did not do this to take your job. I did not do this for revenge. I did this to remember who I am. To show my daughter that it is never too late to find yourself again. To prove to everyone who has ever been made to feel small or invisible that they matter, that they have worth, that their dreams are valid. She paused. Her voice was shaking with emotion. You do not need to resign. That was never what I wanted. What I want is change, real change. I want the staff at this university to be treated with respect. I want janitors and cafeteria workers and groundskeepers to be seen as human beings, as people with talents and dreams and dignity. Can you do that, Dr. Ashford? Can you make that change? Dr. Ashford stared at her. He looked shocked. You don't want me to resign? I want you to be better, to do better. Losing your job does not teach you anything, but working to change this culture, working to see people differently, that would mean something. One of the reporters called out, So you're letting him off the hook after what he did to you? Maria turned to face the cameras. I'm not letting anyone off the hook. I'm asking for something harder than resignation. I'm asking for real change, for acknowledgement that what happened to me happens to people every day. That class and status should not determine how we treat each other. She looked back at Dr. Ashford. You made me feel worthless that night, like I was nothing because I clean floors for a living. But cleaning floors is honest work. It is good work. I am proud of what I do, and I want you to understand that, to really understand it. Can you do that? Dr. Ashford was quiet for a long time. His face showed a struggle. Pride fighting with something else, shame maybe, or the beginning of actual understanding. Yes, he said finally. I can try. I will try. He looked at the trustees. We will create a committee. Staff members will be included. We will look at how we treat our employees, how we talk about them, how we value them. Mrs. Santos, I would like you to be on that committee, if you're willing. Maria nodded slowly. I'm willing. But not just me. Rosa should be there. And Samuel and Kim and Jose. All the people who signed that letter. They speak for the staff. They should all have a voice. Agreed. The reporters erupted with questions. Cameras flashed. Dr. Ashford held up his hands. That's all I have to say tonight. Details will be announced next week. He turned back to Maria one more time. Thank you, Ms. Santos, for the music. And for the lesson. He left with the trustees. People surrounded Maria again. More questions, more photos, more congratulations. It was overwhelming. Finally, Maria had to escape. She, Isabella, Rosa, James, and Dr. Chen slipped out a side door. They walked across the dark campus together. The night air was cool and fresh. Maria felt like she could breathe again. I can't believe you let him keep his job, Rosa said. After everything he did. Making him resign would feel good for a minute, Maria said. But then what? They hire someone new. Nothing changes. This way, maybe something real can change. You're a better person than me, Rosa said. I wanted to see him suffer. I wanted that too, Maria admitted. For a moment. But that's not who I want to be. That's not what I want Isabella to learn from me. Isabella hugged her mother's arm as they walked. I learned so much tonight, Mom. Not just about music. About courage. About forgiveness. About standing up for what's right even when it's scary. Your mother is extraordinary, Dr. Chen said. What she did tonight, it was not just about playing the piano. It was about reclaiming dignity. For herself and for everyone like her. They reached the parking lot. It was time to go their separate ways. But nobody wanted to leave. This night felt important. Like something had shifted in the world. Something small but real. Same time tomorrow morning? James asked Maria with a grin. Practice session? Maria laughed. It felt good to laugh after so much tension. Actually, I think I'll sleep in tomorrow. My hands need rest and good idea. But you'll keep playing, right? This isn't the end? Maria looked at her hands. These rough, worn janitor hands that could also create beautiful music. Both things were true. Both things were her. Yes, she said. I'll keep playing. Music is part of who I am now. I'm not hiding it anymore. Good, Dr. Chen said. Because I have been thinking. The university has a community outreach program, music classes for people who cannot afford private lessons. I think you would be perfect to teach some of those classes. If you're interested. Me? Teach? Why not? You have the experience, the training, the heart, and you understand what it's like to have obstacles, to have to fight for your dreams. That would make you an excellent teacher. Maria felt tears in her eyes again. She had cried so much tonight. Happy tears, overwhelmed tears, grateful tears. I would love that, she whispered. I would really love that. They all hugged, made plans to meet soon. Then they left. Rosa went to her car. Dr. Chen and James went to theirs. Maria and Isabella walked to the bus stop. They sat on the bench waiting for the bus. The night was quiet. The campus was empty. Just the two of them and the stars above. Mom, Isabella said softly. Yes, honey? I'm going to tell everyone about you. About what you did tonight. I'm going to tell my classmates, my professors, everyone. I want them to know that my mom is a pianist. A real pianist. I'm also a janitor, I know. And that's amazing too. You're both. You can be both. That's what you taught me tonight. We don't have to be just one thing. We can be complex. We can have layers. We can surprise people. Maria pulled her daughter close. When did you get so wise? I learned from the best. The bus came. They got on and sat together in the back. Maria leaned her head against the window and watched the city pass by. The same city she rode through every night after work. But tonight it looked different. Brighter somehow. Full of possibility. Her phone buzzed. Text messages. Hundreds of them. From people she knew. From people she did not know. All saying the same things. Congratulations, you were amazing. You inspired me. Thank you. One message was from a number she did not recognize. She opened it. Ms. Santos, this is Helen Park from the San Francisco Chronicle. I would like to do a feature story on you. Your performance tonight represents something important about class, dignity, and the American dream. Would you be willing to talk with me? Please call me at... Maria stared at the message. A feature story. In a major newspaper. About her. A few months ago she was invisible. Now everyone wanted to talk to her. It was strange, overwhelming, a little scary, but also wonderful. She looked at the yellow roses James had given her. They sat on her lap, beautiful and bright. She thought about the music still echoing in her head. The feeling of her hands on the piano keys. The look on Dr. Ashford's face when he realized she was the real thing. This was just the beginning. Maria Santos, the janitor who played piano, had more to say. More to do, more to prove, and she was ready. Maria woke up the next morning to her phone ringing. She grabbed it without opening her eyes. Her whole body ached. Her fingers were stiff and sore from last night's performance. Hello? Her voice was rough with sleep. Ms. Santos, this is David Chen from Good Morning Bay Area. We saw your performance last night and we would love to have you on our show tomorrow. Could you? I'm sorry, Maria interrupted. What time is it? 6:30 in the morning. I know it's early, but we wanted to catch you before anyone else did. This story is incredible. The janitor who plays like a professional. Our viewers would love to meet you. Maria sat up in bed. 6:30. She had only gone to sleep 3 hours ago. Isabella was still asleep on the couch in the living room. Can I think about it and call you back? Maria asked. Of course. Here's my number. Please call soon. We'd love to have you on tomorrow's show. Maria hung up. Then her phone rang again. Another reporter. Then another. Then another. By 7 o'clock, she had received 15 calls from different news stations, newspapers, and magazines. Everyone wanted to talk to her. Everyone wanted her story. She finally turned off her phone. She needed to think. This was all happening so fast. Isabella woke up to the smell of coffee. She came into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. Mom, are you okay? You look stressed. Everyone wants to interview me, Maria said. I don't know what to do. I'm just a janitor. Why do they care so much? Mom, you're not just anything. You're a symbol. You represent everyone who has ever been overlooked or underestimated. Everyone who has dreams they thought were dead. That's powerful. That's important. Maria sat down at the kitchen table. But I don't know how to be a symbol. I only know how to clean floors and play piano. Then just be yourself. Tell your truth. That's all anyone wants. Isabella poured herself coffee and sat across from her mother. But Mom, you have to decide what you want. Do you want this attention, or do you want to go back to your quiet life? That was the question, wasn't it? What did Maria want? For 20 years, she had been invisible. She went to work. She did her job. She went home. Nobody noticed her. Nobody cared what she thought or felt. It was lonely sometimes, but it was also safe, comfortable. Now everyone was looking at her, talking about her, having opinions about her. It was the opposite of invisible. It was overwhelming, but it was also exciting. For the first time in decades, people saw her, really saw her. Not as a janitor, not as a poor immigrant, as a person, a talented person, a person with a story worth hearing. I think I want to tell my story, Maria said slowly. Not for fame, not for attention, but because maybe it will help someone else. Someone who feels invisible like I did. Someone who gave up their dreams like I did. Maybe they'll see me and think, if she can do it, maybe I can too. Isabella smiled. Then tell your story, Mom. Talk to the reporters. Do the interviews. Share your message. Over the next week, Maria did 20 interviews. Television, radio, newspapers, magazines, podcasts. Everyone wanted to talk to her. She told her story over and over. About growing up in Manila. About being a child prodigy. About the choice she had to make between music and family. About coming to America. About working as a janitor for 15 years. About Dr. Ashford's cruel challenge. About finding her way back to music. Some interviews were easy. The reporters were kind and respectful. They asked good questions. They seemed genuinely interested in her journey. Other interviews were harder. Some reporters had an agenda. They wanted her to attack Dr. Ashford, to call him names, to demand he be fired. When she refused, when she talked about forgiveness and change instead of revenge, they seemed disappointed. Don't you think he should face consequences? One reporter asked. A young woman with sharp eyes and an aggressive tone. He is facing consequences, Maria said calmly. He has to look at himself and recognize his prejudice. He has to work to change the culture at the university. That's harder than just resigning. That requires real work. But he humiliated you. Don't you want him to suffer? I want him to learn. There's a difference. The video of her performance went viral. Millions of people watched it online. Comments poured in from all over the world. Most were positive. People said she inspired them, made them cry, made them believe in themselves again. But some comments were cruel. People said she was not that good, that any decent pianist could play at that level, that she was getting attention only because of her sob story, not because of her talent, that she should stay in her lane and stop trying to be something she was not. Those comments hurt. Maria tried not to read them, but sometimes she could not help herself. Late at night, when she could not sleep, she would scroll through the comments. The mean ones stuck in her mind more than the kind ones. Don't read those, Isabella told her. They're just trolls. They don't matter. But what if they're right? What if I'm not actually that good? What if people only care because I'm a janitor, not because I can really play? Mom, Dr. Chen said you were extraordinary. James said you were amazing. Everyone who knows music says you're talented. Random people on the internet who have probably never played an instrument in their lives don't get to decide your worth. Maria knew Isabella was right, but doubt was a powerful thing. It crept into her mind like poison. 1 week after the concert, Maria got an unexpected visitor at work. She was cleaning the hallway in the administration building when someone called her name. Miss Santos? Maria turned around. A woman in an expensive suit stood there. She was maybe 40 years old with perfect hair and a confident smile. Yes, I'm Catherine Williams. I'm on the board of trustees here at the university. She held out her hand. Maria shook it, feeling suddenly self-conscious in her janitor uniform. Nice to meet you. I wanted to talk to you about something. Do you have a few minutes? They sat in a small conference room. Catherine pulled out a folder and opened it. I've been reviewing your performance, she said, and your story. It's remarkable. Truly remarkable. I've also been talking to Dr. Chen and several other music faculty members. They all say the same thing. You have exceptional talent. Thank you, Maria said carefully. She did not know where this was going. I have a proposition for you. The university would like to offer you a scholarship. Maria blinked. A scholarship? I don't understand. A full scholarship to complete your music degree. You started at the University of the Philippines but never finished, correct? Yes, but that was 30 years ago. So? It's never too late to finish what you started. You could study here at Hartwell. Work toward your Bachelor of Music, maybe even a master's degree if you're interested. All expenses paid. Maria felt dizzy. But I'm 52 years old. I have a job. I can't afford to quit working and go to school. You wouldn't have to quit. We could arrange your work schedule around your classes, and the scholarship would include a living stipend, enough to cover your basic expenses. Why would you do this?
Catherine smiled.
Because we made a mistake. Dr. Ashford made a mistake when he dismissed you that night. But really, we've all been making that mistake for years. We have talented people working in our buildings every day and we never see them. We never ask about their dreams or their stories. We just assume they are what they do for a living. Nothing more. She leaned forward. You showed us how wrong we were, and now we want to do better. This scholarship is a start. We're creating a program for staff members who want to pursue education. You would be the first recipient. The Maria Santos Scholarship Fund. Maria felt tears in her eyes. You're naming it after me? If you agree to accept the scholarship, yes. We want you to be the example, the proof that it's never too late. That talent matters more than age or background or what job you have right now. Maria could not speak. She just nodded, tears running down her face. I'll take that as a yes? Catherine smiled warmly. Good, we'll arrange everything. You can start classes next semester if you want, or take more time if you need it. Whatever works for you. After Catherine left, Maria sat alone in the conference room for a long time. She was going back to school. At 52 years old, after 30 years, she was going to finish what she started. She thought about her 17-year-old self, that girl in the photograph, full of dreams and hope. If Maria could talk to her now, what would she say? I'm sorry it took so long, she whispered to the empty room. But I'm coming back. I'm finally coming back. That evening, Maria went to the practice room like she did every day now. But this time was different. She did not have to sneak in early in the morning. Dr. Chen had arranged for her to have an official practice room assignment. She had her own key, her own time slot. She belonged there now. James was waiting for her. I heard the news. Dr. Chen told me. You're going to be a student here, I know. I still can't believe it. This is perfect. We can take classes together. I can help you catch up on anything you missed. This is going to be great. Maria sat at the piano. She felt lighter than she had in years, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. She began to play. Not the Rachmaninoff this time. Something different. A Chopin nocturne, soft and beautiful and full of hope. As she played, she thought about the future, about finishing her degree, about maybe teaching music to children who could not afford private lessons, about using her story to inspire others. But she also thought about the present. I've been president of this university for 8 years. In that time, I've walked past you in the hallways. I've sat in buildings you cleaned. I've eaten food you prepared. But I never really saw you. I never thought about your lives, your dreams, your stories. To me, you were just the people who did the work nobody else wanted to do. He paused, took a breath. Ms. Santos showed me how wrong I was. She showed me that everyone has value. Everyone has dignity. Everyone deserves respect, not because of their job title or their salary, but because they're human beings. Maria watched him carefully. Was this real? Or was it just damage control? Public relations? I can't undo the past, Dr. Ashford continued. I can't take back the times I was dismissive or rude or simply blind to your existence. But I can do better going forward. We can do better. He outlined several new policies. Regular meetings with staff representatives. Better pay and benefits. More opportunities for advancement. The scholarship program Catherine had told Maria about. Investment in training and education for anyone who wanted it. These are just first steps, he said. I'm sure we'll make mistakes. But I promise to listen. To really listen when you tell us what you need. What would make this a better place to work? When he finished, there was silence. Then someone started clapping. Rosa, then others joined in. Not a standing ovation like Maria got at the concert, but steady, real applause. The applause of people who wanted to believe change was possible. After the meeting, several staff members came up to Maria. They thanked her. They said she gave them hope. They said they felt seen for the first time in years. You started something, Samuel the security guard told her. Something important. Don't stop now. I won't, Maria promised. 3 months passed. Maria started classes at the university. It was strange being a student again at her age. Most of her classmates were young enough to be her children, but they accepted her. Some even looked up to her after they heard her story. She still worked as a janitor, 3 nights a week instead of 5. It was enough to pay her bills with the scholarship stipend, and it kept her grounded, reminded her where she came from, who she was. She also started teaching, 1 class a week, piano for beginners. Community members who could not afford private lessons, children from poor families, adults who always wanted to learn but never had the chance. Her students loved her. She understood them in a way other teachers could not. She knew what it was like to want something you could not have, to dream of something that seemed impossible. One of her students was a 9-year-old boy named Marcus. His mother cleaned houses for a living. She brought Marcus to class every week and sat in the back, watching with tears in her eyes. "Thank you for teaching him," she told Maria one day. "We could never afford lessons. But music makes him so happy. You're giving him a gift." "He's giving me a gift too," Maria said. "Every time I teach, I remember why music matters, why it's worth fighting for." 6 months after the concert, Maria gave another performance, a faculty recital. This time she played the complete Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2, all 3 movements. With the university orchestra, the concert hall was packed again. But this time Maria was not nervous. She walked onto the stage in a beautiful new dress. Isabella had bought it for her. Dark blue, elegant, professional, she sat at the piano and looked out at the audience. So many familiar faces, Rosa and the other staff members, James and Dr. Chen, Catherine Williams and other trustees, students from her classes, reporters from several news outlets, and there in the 3rd row sat Dr. Ashford. He came. He actually came. When their eyes met, he nodded, a small gesture of respect, of acknowledgement. Maria placed her hands on the keys. She took a breath, and she began to play. This time there were no mistakes, no cramping hands, no technical difficulties. She had practiced for months. Her hands were stronger now. Her confidence was solid. She played beautifully, powerfully, with all the emotion and skill she possessed. The first movement was bold and dramatic. The second movement, the one she had played at the original concert, was even more beautiful now, more refined. The third movement was triumphant and joyful, a celebration. When she finished, the audience erupted, even louder than the first time, even more enthusiastic. Maria stood and bowed. The orchestra stood too, applauding her. The conductor hugged her. People threw flowers onto the stage. She had done it, really done it. She was a pianist again, fully and completely. Not just a janitor who used to play, a real pianist. After the concert, there was a reception. Maria stood in the lobby holding a glass of sparkling water, talking to people. So many people wanted to congratulate her, to tell her their own stories, to thank her for inspiring them. Dr. Ashford approached. He held out his hand. "That was magnificent, Ms. Santos, truly world-class. Thank you, Dr. Ashford. I want you to know the changes we discussed, we're implementing them. It's slow. Change is always slow. But we're making progress. The staff seems happier, more engaged. They feel valued now. That's good to hear. You did that. You changed this university. You changed me." He paused. "I'm stepping down at the end of the year. Not because I have to. Because I want to. It's time for new leadership. Someone who understands what you taught us. Someone who sees people for who they are, not just what they do." Maria was surprised. "You're really leaving?" "I am. It's the right time. And honestly, I'm tired of fighting to maintain the old ways. The world is changing. I can either change with it or get out of the way." "I choose to get out of the way," he smiled. It was a real smile, warm and genuine, the first one Maria had ever seen from him. "But before I go, I want to make sure the Maria Santos Scholarship Fund is fully established. I'm making a personal donation, $1 million. To ensure it continues long after I'm gone," Maria gasped. $1 million? It's the least I can do. To make up for how I treated you. To honor what you've accomplished. To help others like you have the same chance." He walked away before Maria could respond. She stood there stunned. $1 million. How many people would that help? How many dreams could that make possible? Later that night, Maria sat in her apartment with Isabella. They ate ice cream straight from the container and talked about everything. I'm so proud of you, Mom, Isabella said. Not just for the music, for everything. For standing up for yourself. For choosing forgiveness over revenge. For using your story to help others. I'm proud of you too, Maria said. You're going to be an amazing doctor. I learned from the best. Isabella put down her spoon. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you regret it? Giving up music all those years ago to take care of me and Grandpa? Maria thought about the question. Really thought about it. Did she regret it? No, she said finally. I don't regret it. It hurt, it was hard. But I made the choice out of love. I would make the same choice again. Because you and your grandfather needed me, and family is more important than dreams. But you lost so much time. I lost time, yes. But I gained something too. I gained you. I gained strength. I gained perspective. The Maria who played piano at 17 was talented, but she was also naive. She thought the world was fair. She thought talent was all that mattered. The Maria who plays piano now understands that life is complicated, that sometimes we have to sacrifice, that dignity comes from how we handle hardship, not from how we avoid it. Isabella hugged her mother tight. I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby. 1 year after the concert, Maria graduated. Not with her bachelor's degree yet. That would take a few more years of part-time study, but she completed a certificate program in piano performance. It was an official credential. Proof that she was qualified, professional. The graduation ceremony was small, just a few dozen students, but to Maria it felt huge. Isabella flew home for it. So did Maria's mother from the Philippines, her first time visiting America. Rosa and James and Dr. Chen all came, even some of her students. When Maria walked across the stage to receive her certificate, everyone stood and cheered. Her mother cried. Isabella cried. Maria cried. After the ceremony, they took photos. Maria stood in her cap and gown, holding her certificate, surrounded by everyone she loved. She looked happy, truly completely happy. That night, Maria's mother pulled her aside. I'm sorry, she said in Tagalog. Sorry for what, Mama? For letting you give up music. For not finding another way when your father got sick. For not stopping you when you said you would quit school. Maria hugged her mother. Mama, you have nothing to be sorry for. I made my choice. I'm at peace with it. But you lost so much time. I found my way back. That's what matters. Some people never do. I'm lucky. Her mother touched Maria's face gently. Your father would be so proud. I wish he could see you now. I think he can, Maria whispered. I think he's been watching all along. 2 years after the concert, Maria opened her own music school. A small studio in a community center. Free lessons for children whose families could not afford them. Instruments provided. No child turned away. She called it the Second Chance Music School. Because everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves to pursue their dreams, even if they have to wait years to do it. The school was small but busy. 20 students to start, then 50, then 100. Other teachers volunteered to help. James taught some classes. Dr. Chen came once a week.